Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone. It is May 30th, 2018. I'm Eric. I'm here at the website allnewspipeline.com. Is this the biggest criminal deep state cover-up in history? This comes from William B. Stoker. I'm sure many of you have heard the rumor that's been floating around on the internet about a dark web video, a snuff video specifically, of Hillary Clinton and her longtime aide Huma Abedin. In this video, they are said to be torturing a little girl to death. Bear in mind that this video may not exist. And if it does, it could be easily faked. There's not any proof that Kooky Clinton has ever directly harmed a child. However, it is a virtual certainty that the witch is a Boldyke, and that Huma Abedin is her Boldyke girlfriend. And it is a fact that Huma's mother is tied to the terrorists' Muslim Brotherhood. Huma and the witch are certainly very, very unpleasant people. And, you know, Hillary Clinton is unpleasant through a fucking computer or TV screen. I cannot imagine just how unpleasant she is in person. I have always said that skeptics may dismiss this or that piece of evidence as a hoax, a mistake, or coincidence, but when you look at the overall pattern surrounding an event like Dallas or the Oklahoma City bombing, the truth becomes painfully obvious. Remember, people can be convicted in court with a pattern of circumstantial evidence, and there is a pattern indicating that many of the NWO globalists, probably including the Clintons, are indeed involved in child sex trafficking and in satanic human sacrifice. Anyone who at this late date doubts that the deep state operatives and their Luciferian masters are utterly evil, sadistic, sociopath, are willfully blind. I will not cite here the evidence that Dallas and the other assassinations of the 60s, Ruby Ridge, Waco, Oklahoma City, the first WTC bombing, 9/11, and Benghazi were deliberately orchestrated by our masters, along with any number of school shootings and other atrocities. I, and others, including patriots who write for ANP, have written about these events numerous times and supported our conclusions with hard facts. Anyone who wishes can read of the terrible suffering of the victims from the Oklahoma City bombing and the row of dead babies lying on broken glass. Either of the two World Trade Center bombings could have killed up to 10 or even 20,000 people, as it was 9/11 killed nearly 3,000. Our ruling class are most certainly evil enough to rape and even torture and murder small children. And if you don't think so, people, just remember Madeleine Albright. Just remember Hillary Clinton thinking it's funny that when she was an attorney, she got a pedophile off. And there are numerous fucking examples of all this. Numerous. Many of the movers and shakers in the U.S. and Europe belong to obviously cult-like organizations. The Masons, Lucas Trust, Skull and Bones, the Bohemian Club, among others. The Bohemians, at their annual event at the Bohemian Grove in Northern California, conduct a mock child sacrifice. Or is it? And these are the elites who have legalized the abortion of nearly 60 million unborn children and forced us peasants to pay for it by sending our tax dollars to Planned Parenthood. There's a lot of p in there, isn't there? If this is not child sacrifice on an industrial, monumental scale, then what is? These same ruling class are forcing the insane GLBT or GLBT agenda on us, and especially our children in the indoctrination centers formerly known as schools. They've always been indoctrination centers. Don't be fucking fooled. And by the way, their little ritual is called the cremation of care. Cremation of care. And it's exactly what it sounds like. They burn away their cares for all the evil shit they done for that year. Even the Washington Post reported in 1987 on a shadowy child sex ring, called the Finders, operating mainly in the D.C. area, but also in other parts of the U.S. and beyond. The cult had at least 40 members and was led by a man named Marion Petty. Despite the fact that 2 men were found with hungry, dirty, half-naked children, not their own, the D.C. police and DA refused to charge them with any crime. And you know what? And they will overlook the crimes of these people, and yet they will throw the fucking book at you for the pettiest of things. It was rumored that the Department of Justice had pressured the D.C. authorities not to charge them, citing national security. And man, there's been all kinds of ugly shit done in the name of national security. Allegedly, the DOJ did this at the behest of the CIA and Even Petty admitted that his late wife had worked for the CIA and his son for Air America, the CIA's airline. The finders performed cult rituals and did blood sacrifices, at least of animals. The police found photos of the animal sacrifices and nude children. In 1992, John W. DeCamp published The Franklin Cover-Up, the story of what began as an investigation of the corrupt Franklin Savings and Loan Company and led to revelations of child sex abuse and probably murder by many of America's elites, including people in the military. The manager of Franklin was one Lawrence King, a black Republican, and almost $40 million was missing from the credit union, clearly stolen by King and his associates. But soon evidence of child sex trafficking, rape, drug dealing, and child prostitution, as well as money laundering, was found. There were credible accusations of sexual abuse of minors by the Omaha police chief and a local judge. King procured underage boys from the infamous Boys Town, as did a homosexual pimp in D.C., one Craig Spencer, who was suicided in 1989. George Bush Sr. attended at least one of Lawrence King's infamous parties. Bush Sr. and Jr., remember, are Bonesmen and also attend events at the Bohemian Grove. An investigator for the Nebraska legislature, Gary Cannadon, who was investigating the matter, died, along with his 8-year-old son, in a mysterious plane crash on 7/11/1990. There were unverified claims by children that they had witnessed child rape, torture, mutilation, and murder, along with satanic rituals. Author John DeCamp knew former CIA Director William Colby and stated that Colby was trying to find and expose the truth, but he died mysteriously in April of 1996. DeCamp's main investigator was retired FBI agent Ted Gunderson. I spoke with Mr. Gunderson a year or two before his death, and he at least appeared to be sincere, and he believed that most of the allegations were true and that this was but the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Anton LaVey's Church of Satan operated where else? In San Francisco during the 60s and later. That city is a center of occult evil. Note that the Reverend Jim Jones was made director of public housing in San Francisco despite a complete lack of qualifications for the job by he was appointed by the city's leftist elites. And they included Dianne Feinstein, and this enabled him to recruit many of his victims. The actual Bohemian Club headquarters building is also in San Francisco. I have myself seen the occult symbols on its front door. One of LaVey's followers was an army officer stationed at the Presidio Michael Aquino. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, the symbols that these people use, they were hijacked by them. They were hijacked by them and turned into symbols of evil. They are not actually symbols of evil. You know, again, they hijack these symbols like the Nazis did with the swastika, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. It in itself is not an evil symbol. It's the eye. It's supposed to be the eye of God. But of course, the Luciferians, the occultists, the Bohemians, they have taken these symbols and perverted them. So he broke away and founded his own Luciferian cult in 1975, the Temple of Set, which included a number of other U.S. Army officers and enlisted personnel. The Army was notified of this by the San Francisco Police Department, and they were okay with it. In 1987, investigators learned that a worker at the Presidio Child Development Center, a daycare facility, one Gary Willard Hambright, was abusing very small children of both sexes. In fact, the Army admitted that there was credible evidence of child sex abuse at 10% or more of their daycare centers across the country. Note that witnesses had told the Franklin investigators that satanic child abuse also took place at a number of U.S. military bases. Although this has never been proven, also unproven is the claim by one child at Presidio that she was sexually abused by Michael Aquino and his wife. Recently, the public has learned of the bizarre NXIVM sex cult led by a man named Keith Raniere, who was assisted by Hollywood actress Allison Mack, who branded his female sex slaves. The occult is supported, I said occult, the cult is supported by the Bronfman sisters in Canada, Sarah and Claire, heirs to the Seagram 7 fortune. Their grandfather had made a great deal of that fortune by selling liquor to Detroit's murderous Purple Gang during Prohibition. The Bronfman men's support a variety of leftist causes in the U.S. and Canada, including the Clinton Global Initiative. There are rumors that the cult sold children to the Clintons and the Rothschilds, but there's no real evidence. Clinton henchman Larry Nichols some years ago said that the witch Hillary often attended meetings of a witches' coven in California. Of course, such witches always claim that they are not Satanists, but harmless pagans or Wiccans. Yet these covens are where radical feminism, lesbianism, leftist politics, and the occult are all combined into one malevolent brew. In 418, the witch joined a coven of exclusively female witches called the Wing. Their official symbol is an inverted satanic pentagram, and they have posted drawings of witches sacrificing babies to Satan and slogans like Hex on NRA and Curse for Trump. One of the members has openly admitted to sacrifices and pacts with demons, and interestingly, leftist senators Kristen Gillibrand and Dianne Feinstein have attended Wing events. Then there is the Lolita Express. Oh, man, these people. Okay. Then there is the Lolita Express to Little St. James Island in the Caribbean called Orgy Island. The express refers to the private jet of billionaire leftist Jeffrey Epstein, a Clinton crony who kept a virtual harem of underage girls on the island. Slick Willie Clinton traveled with him to the island a number of times, and there is a rumor that the witch went with them at least once. Epstein was caught and convicted, but the FBI and the DOJ got him a reduced sentence by claiming that he was a useful informant. Right. Him and Whitey Bulger. The DOJ attorney who helped to orchestrate this shitty deal was Alexander Acosta, and Trump made him Secretary of Labor. So much for draining the swamp, right? By the way, you might recall Trump was rather fond of Jeffrey Epstein. He called him a man who loved the company of beautiful women, and they were on the young side. He definitely enjoys his social life, Trump said. But I digress. Clinton's former campaign chairman and Hussein Obama's counselor and Slick Willie's chief of staff is one John Podesta, whose brother, Tony Podesta, is a lobbyist representing, among others, China and Saudi Arabia. Tony's home is decorated with pictures of naked teenagers, and he is a close associate with the self-mutilating witch Maria Abramovich, who practices spirit cooking, a mixture of blood, semen, urine, and human breast milk, a recipe provided by the late Aleister Crowley, leader of the Satanist OTO, or Order of the Temple of the Orient. Tony and John Podesta often hang out with well-known Washington homosexual James Alefantis, who owns Comet Ping Pong Pizza in D.C. Its storefront is decorated with occult symbols like a star and a crescent moon. GQ lists Alefantis as one of the 50 most powerful people in Washington. a rather odd title for a pizza store owner. He visited the Hussein White House at least 5 times. And the plot continues to thicken. John Podesta's emails often mention Comet Ping Pong. Apparently it has some major significance to him. The witch's ex-chief of staff, Tamara Lozado, emailed John Podesta about transporting her own underage children to the farm in Lovettsville, where they could swim in the pool to provide entertainment. Farm circuit is a code for child trafficking and prostitution. And again, we see connections to the Clintons, that charming couple with the long trail of dead bodies behind them. And again, people, Donald Trump is connected to these motherfuckers too, okay? Yes, the evidence is circumstantial. But people can be convicted in court with strong enough circumstantial evidence. Remember that individual facts can form very real patterns, which combine into larger patterns, and so on, and so on, and so on. We need to wake up to the fact that we are literally ruled by Satanists, and that there is no crime too foul for them. Things will certainly get worse before they get better. And at some point, we are going to have to fight for our freedom and prosperity, for our lives and our souls. Let's not forget about our children in there. So, what do you think? Do you think these people will ever see justice at the hands of the government? I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think they will. They might get the low-lying fruit, but they're not going to get the Clintons. They're not going to get the higher-up people. And I'm going to tell you why. They're not going to go after the Clintons for real, because that leaves the door open for someone to come after them for their own dirty crimes. I don't think Hillary Clinton was ever meant to win the election. I think that it was a setup from start to finish, and I think we are beyond being fixable. And there's no peaceful way to get rid of these people. They're not going to go away on their own. They're not going to stop their perverse practices of harming children. And again, you cannot deal with these kind of people with kind words and painted signs and slogans and by voting them out. It's not going to work. It never has. It never will. The only thing that works is violence. Unfortunately, that's true. And unfortunately, they've been using all kinds of many different forms of violence against us. So, as I've said many times before, We are already being attacked. We are already, or should I say, they are already inflicting violence on us. They clearly see us as the enemy, and they clearly want to cause all of us harm. Till next time, kill the state before the state kills you.